Good evening, Vashini. Vashini and Abhay, it's really good to see you guys here again today.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Alright, you guys, let's start for the day. So, we are going to carry on from where we had left off yesterday. And I trust that you remember what we had covered yesterday. Not in exact detail, but roughly, let's say. We had looked at what a GD is, why we have group discussions in the first place, what is it like to take part in a GD, what are the different roles that will be assigned or that we'll have to handle when we are participating in a group discussion, and how do you actually speak? How much time do you have to speak? How do you structure your presentation? All of that are things that we had covered yesterday. We had seen different kinds of group discussion topics, such as general topics, abstract topics, and then we had covered another category. Does anybody remember what the third category was? There was general, there was abstract, there was also
Argument.
Argument.
argumentative or debatable topics. Then we had seen another kind of a topic, a long sort of a topic called a caselet, which requires us to imagine ourselves in that situation and then find a solution for the problem stated in the case. A case, like we discussed yesterday, is just another name for the topic. A topic is called a case. We had also looked at how we can lead a group discussion, how we can participate in a group discussion, how these are equally important roles. It's just that the function that you serve in the discussion is slightly different. Today we're going to get more into the mechanics of a group discussion. Yesterday we had covered everything broadly. Today we're actually going to look at what are the things that we can say. How can we form a sentence? How do we phrase our argument? These are actual mechanics of a group discussion, right? In several occasions, children actually know exactly what they want to speak. They have the ideas clear inside their mind. However, they're not able to bring it out properly. They're not able to verbalize those ideas in an effective manner. That is where these phrasing tips come into play. These phrasing tips can be very helpful if you are somebody who has clear ideas inside their mind, but who also finds it difficult to articulate those ideas. For example, when you want to make a point, you can say, I'd like to note here that one point that I want to make is that, remember when yesterday when we were discussing how to lead a GD, we also saw that this is a formal location which requires certain formal turns of phrases or certain formal quotes of conversation, right? So when a leader begins his or her presentation, he or she would say, with the permission of the chair and that of my group, I would like to take the lead in this discussion. Just like that, when you're participating in a GD, depending on the kind of point you would like to make in relation to the others who've spoken in the discussion, you can use different kinds of phrasings. When you're trying to make a point, I'd like to note here that one point that I want to make is that, then you follow it up with whatever it is that you wanted to say. Let's say you want to disagree with somebody. Somebody was raising a point before you, but you're not in agreement with that person. So you want to make it known that you're not in agreement with that person. However, in a group discussion, you're not supposed to carelessly disagree with anybody. You're not supposed to be disrespectful even if you are disagreeing with somebody. So you have to disagree, but politely. I beg to differ. I heard what you said. I fully understand your point. However, I would beg to differ. I'm sorry, but I must disagree with this because there must be a valid reason as to why you disagree with this person. You further go on to provide that reason. On the contrary, let's say you want to agree with somebody. Somebody's thoughts really resonated with you. Somebody who spoke just before you, their thoughts really resonated with what you wanted to say. So if you want to agree with somebody, you would say, I second your opinion and would also like to add that. You're not just saying, yeah, what you said is correct. You're saying, but we can also add to that point. I agree with you. I would also like to add to that point. I'm glad you mentioned that. Why? Because this goes very much in line with what I wanted to bring to the table. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Now I would like to add to your point with my own. Let's say there's another scenario. You agree with the person, but you have some reservations. What are reservations? Some doubts. You're not very sure of that. By and large, you agree with the person, but you're not completely convinced. Right? In those situations, you can say, I see where you're coming from, and I agree. But perhaps you have not taken into account this particular aspect of this issue. You can go on to state that aspect. That may be valid, but only in certain circumstances, implying there might be a different circumstance where that argument might not be valid. So you are going to be speaking further about that other circumstance. Is that clear to everybody?
Yes.
Ideally, in a group discussion, you do not interrupt somebody who's speaking. Okay? Ideally. But sometimes you will have to interrupt somebody. Either because you really need to speak, you really need to raise your point here, right when they are discussing their concerns. Or let's say somebody has been speaking for a little too long, and so you're not sure whether their own presentation is eating into the time allotted to the rest of the group members. So you would like to maybe interrupt them and to bring up an opportunity for the others to speak, right? In those situations, you can interrupt the person, but once again, you've got to do it politely. Can I add something here? I'd like to add on to this with. You're adding something there. Remember, these are just starting phrases. This doesn't mean that this is the only thing that you're going to be saying. You are starting with this phrase and then you should go on to make your point. Clear?
Yes, guys.
Yes, ma'am.
What are some of the things that you shouldn't do when you're participating in a group discussion? We've been looking at several things that we should do. We should say it like that, should be very polite. We should have, we should be able to facilitate the discussion if we are leading a discussion. We should be able to listen attentively to the others who are speaking. We saw all of that. But there are some very important don'ts in a group discussion. There are some things that we should just not do in a GD. Meaning, if we do these things, regardless of how assertive or how well spoken we are, it will not reflect well on our candidature for that application. You might be speaking very well, but if you're doing any of these things, then you'll be marked low. Right? Remember that you're being continuously assessed by the panel of judges. They are making a note of everything that you say. Do not repeat something that has already been said. This is bad because of two reasons. One, it shows that you've not been paying very keen attention. Two, it shows that you don't have anything novel to add to the discussion. Both of these can be black marks. Do not look indifferent or uninterested. Just because you're not the one who is speaking at the moment does not mean you're allowed to zone out of the discussion. If you're not speaking or if you finished speaking, listen. If you're speaking, pay attention to how others are receiving you. You shouldn't just be looking at a wall and speaking. Maintain eye contact with the rest of your group, regardless of whether they maintain eye contact with you or not. Try to allow your gaze to travel across the group present. Don't just, fixedly stare at one member of the group. Make sure that you're allowing your eyes to travel across the group in a very, not in a very haphazard manner. Sometimes when we get really nervous, we look from one person to the other very, very quickly, darting our eyes around it. That should not be the case. We should be very collected and calm, but we should maintain eye contact, or at least try to maintain eye contact with all the members of the group. If you are in agreement with somebody, don't just blindly agree. Make sure to add a point of your own. It's also really, really bad to dominate the group. Yesterday, we spoke a little bit about hogging the mic, not handing over the chance to speak to anybody else in the group. That's very bad, regardless of whether you're a leader or whether you're a participant. If you're not giving anyone else a chance to speak, if you are dominating the discussion, then it is something negative with regard to your candidature. Always remember that this is a discussion, not a debate. This is not that kind of a conversation where you're trying to discredit the point raised by another person. That's not the point of a discussion. You're not trying to discredit them. Rather, you're trying to simply arrive at an agreeable consensus. Everybody will have their differences. However, you can all agree upon some things. What are those things that you're all able to agree upon? Ideally, through a discussion, you should be able to find out what those things are. It's also very important to never make personal comments, sexist comments, or casteist comments. Okay? Remember that we are not living in a society which is equal. There are several inequalities that surround us. These inequalities would also have shaped us. Now, all you're required to do is to understand that there are inequalities and to not make hurtful comments attacking anybody while you are taking part in a group discussion. Okay? This is the basis of being respectful. Also remember that another person might not always be respectful towards you. Okay? In those scenarios, you should try to remain graceful. Try to maintain your composure. Try to not lose your footing. Okay? That will reflect very, very well on your candidature. You don't have to respond in kind if someone is being disrespectful towards you. That is also something that we should bear in mind. We should not be disrespectful. If someone is disrespectful to us, we don't have to go and argue with them while we are taking part in the discussion. Because our priority here is not to win the discussion. There's no way you can win a discussion. The priority here is to land that job. Don't forget that. Right. Any questions so far? Anything you didn't understand? Has anyone here ever taken part in a group discussion? It's part of, some activity or the other, maybe an internship selection, maybe anything. Okay, I assume you've not yet reached that stage, but you will, okay? So let's just be prepared for that. Yesterday we had seen what a caselet is. That long topic which requires us to imagine ourselves in a certain scenario. That is a case study based or a caselet kind of topic. Here we have an example of a caselet. I'm going to read it out for everyone's benefit and then we'll have a discussion. You are the area manager of the Indian vertical of a world famous USA based content streaming platform. It has been 3 years since the firm has launched its operations in India. However, there are still not enough adapters in the local market. Upon consultation with your research team, you have concluded that the content provided on the streaming service is not local enough to attract Indian consumers and the cost of the streaming service per month is too high and is not affordable for the average Indian consumer. What should the next course of action for the company be? How would you discuss this with your team members? Now, yesterday we saw that when we get a long topic like this, our first priority should be to identify what the key phrases, the key concerns of this topic are. So, can somebody quickly do a mental underlining of the things that we should take note of when we are trying to speak about this topic? And tell me what those key points are. What are the problems here?
First of all, it will be the introduction of the firm, like a USA-based content streaming firm, who
Mm,
is who, in a line who is trying to who has launched his service 3 years ago, and then directly on the problems they are facing, like it's been 3 years, but they are not able to conquer the market enough.
mm.
And uh, next it will be like some people think that their service are not even affordable for the particular country, for
Mm,
India.
mm.
Yes, and that discussion is overall based on these things.
Okay. Very good, Abhay. That was a very good quick summarization of the key concerns of the topic. So you understand what you're required to do. As soon as you hear the case being read out, you should be able to mark out what the key things to focus in that topic are. Okay? Now we're going to go into a sample response for this specific topic. Just like Abhay has pointed out, the two major problems that the streaming service is facing are lack of local content and affordability. To improve affordability, what can we do? Remember, these are the kinds of points that a participant would make, not the kind of points that a leader would make. A leader would simply provide a quick summary once again, draw the participants' attention to the key concerns, ask a few questions, and invite the participants' responses. Okay? A participant, on the other hand, would try to offer solutions. Look at this. To improve affordability while still breaking even. Breaking even, I'm sure you all know what that means. It's that stage where a company is not making a profit, but it's also not making a loss. The company could explore a mobile only plan for a much cheaper price, given that most Indians get their entertainment from mobile devices. Now, what is the plan here? Most people have smartphones. So if you have a smartphone only plan, then there might likely be more adapters to the content streaming platform. And if they like the kind of content that is being streamed through the platform, then they might even shift to another another plan using multiple devices, let's say, or they might continue to use the platform consistently. Both of these are win situations, right? All you want at the end of the day is for the number of adapters to grow. if you have a mobile only plan, it might help the number of adapters to grow. To improve lack of local content, the streaming service can collaborate with budding content creators, budding local content creators, that is, on social media to come up with original content with low production cost. These steps could improve the rate of adoption among Indian consumers, right? Now, anything else that you can think of? Here we are just looking at a sample response. If you are a participant, you don't necessarily have to speak about both of these either. You can just speak about one of these points. For example, Jay can say, to improve affordability while still breaking even, the company could explore a mobile only plan. And Vashni could say, to improve lack of local content, the streaming service can collaborate with budding content creators. See, together you are building a lot of things that you could possibly offer as solutions to this content streaming platform. Anything else that you can think of? Just like the points that we've discussed here, any other thing that you could suggest to this content streaming platform in order to solve their problems? Think about it and then tell me just one thing. Anything. It can be related to what we have said here as well.
Marketing.
Marketing. How so? Tell me a little bit more.
Ma'am, like to sell, you have to see more. But if the viewers don't even recognize your name, like there is a brand exist, then they can't even, they will not even try to have a look on, like even they will not even visit once. So marketing is important, that
Okay.
everyone knows that there is a brand that exists.
Would you suggest marketing through content? For example, getting in touch with local content creators or already established YouTube channels or Instagram pages, maybe, in order to advertise a new series that they have, made to be streamed on this platform. Would that be a good strategy?
No, ma'am. First of all, extreme marketing would be okay. Like even if we are not even known enough, then even we will collaborate with the theaters. Then also, they will not be able to reach that much public.
Okay,
If
so there
we,
should be extreme marketing. What
yes,
is an
ma'am.
example? Can you tell me what you mean by extreme marketing?
Like short videos. First of all, like having ads, short videos. First of all,
Hmm. Ads would be extreme marketing, right? Understood. Anything else?
like sponsorship, like in cricket matches, sponsorship.
Right. Okay. So Abhay is thinking on a larger scale. Right. So Abhay is saying we should initially push the platform through extreme marketing so that there is greater brand recall amongst the audience. It's only after that we can think about improving the number of adapters. Right. Anything else? Very good point, Abhay. Thank you very much for that. I trust you get the idea behind a discussion of this sort. Now let's try talking about something else. A university education is not worth pursuing in India today. This is your case. Imagine that I am the panel of judges all by myself, right? So I am reading out the case. What is the next step? Somebody should take the lead in this discussion. Anybody can take the lead in this discussion. And then the rest of you should pitch in with your own points. Do not leave the meeting just because I'm asking you to speak, right? You don't have to speak if you're not comfortable with speaking. However, I would really suggest that you do speak because this is also just a platform to try things out, to get acquainted with speaking, right? To get comfortable with it. So here is your case. Think about it. Somebody take the lead, and then let's just have a small discussion. Who would like to take the lead? Volunteer to take the lead. I don't want to force anybody to take the lead. Try to volunteer to take the lead. Ansar, would you like to take the lead?
Yes, ma'am. But what kind of lead, ma'am? Means I have to give every question answer. What kind of?
Uh, were you not here in yesterday's session?
Yesterday session I was available, ma'am.
You were here. I'm sorry, Ansar, I could not understand you. Were you here for yesterday's session?
Ma'am, I'm saying like here is written like let's try having a discussion, right? A university education is not worth it. So
Yes.
you are saying leading, yeah, leading means what? I have to give every question answer, or I have to ask everyone.
No, let me just take you to the slide that we had yesterday, which is why I was asking you if you had been here for yesterday's session. This is how you lead a discussion. So here is my case. A university education is not worth pursuing in India today. If you're going to be leading the discussion, then you begin by saying, with the permission of the chair and that of the group, let me take the lead in this discussion. Then you restate the general views or concerns that the topic is raising, views on the topic or concerns of the topic, right? Ask a few questions which can prompt the rest of the group members to talk, open up the discussion for others, and then you can stop. This is how you take the lead in a discussion. I'm glad you asked, Ansar. In case there was somebody who did not know how to take the lead, I'm glad you asked. So now do you think you can proceed to take the lead in this discussion? Okay, for the time being, let me just take the lead, right? And then I hope you'll be able to pitch in with your own topics. With the permission of the chair and that of the group, I would like to take the lead in this discussion. The case that has been given to us is whether university education is worth pursuing in India today. This can be a divisive topic, but some might say that it is not worth pursuing, that a university education is not worth pursuing in India at the moment because we need skills more than degrees. However, some would continue to associate a degree with the level of qualification or the level of skills that a person possesses when it is time for him or for her to join the industry. I would really like to hear what the rest of my group has to speak about this topic. Do you suppose in this day and age, when we can learn anything that we want to learn through the internet, it is still worthwhile to spend a lot of money and time to dedicate years of your life for a university degree? The stage is now open for discussion. Right? That's it. Now, ideally, somebody should pitch in with his or her own views. So, I'm not a judgmental person. If you say university education is not worth pursuing in India, I'm not going to be arguing with you. Feel free to express your opinions. But I do really want somebody to speak. No one's going to speak.
I can speak, but I would like to give chance to anyone else.
Ah, right. So Abhay is saying somebody else should speak. I also think somebody else should speak. Jay, do you think you would like to speak for a bit?
Yes, ma'am. So,
Okay, go on then.
so university education, it is not. If at some extent we can consider the university education, because it will develop our social skill, our interpersonal skills. It will help us to develop our interpersonal skills, as well as it will set up base standard level skills. So it is
Very
at some
good.
extent, yeah, it is some at some extent it is good to get the university education.
Hmm.
But for advanced skill or for some additional skill, we can use online resources and other resources for
Hmm.
education.
Okay, thank you very much, Jay, for raising that point. As a very balanced sort of view, if you listen to Jay, Jay is saying a university education is still worthwhile. However, we can make use of other opportunities. We can develop our skills further through non-university channels that are available to us. So it doesn't have to be either or. You can do both, right? That's what Jay is saying. Anybody else would like to speak for a bit? Rahul, would you like to speak for a bit? You're all people who are pursuing an online degree, which is not something that would have been possible just a few years ago. So you should have some views or the other about this. Some of you are doing 2 degrees at a time. I think you are exactly the right group of people to be answering this question. What motivates you to do this? It's not easy. I'm sure it's not easy. So you're putting in a lot of effort. What motivates you? Vishal, would you like to speak? You don't have to leave the meeting. Even if I ask you whether you'd like to speak, if you don't want to speak, you don't have to speak, right? Don't get panicky. Shweta, would you like to speak?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
A university education is worth in India
Hmm.
to skill development and for the career and for communication and face to know the surroundings and what is required to develop means what need to improve and what we can do after the after completing the degree and uh, we get the we get the knowledge
Hmm.
after when we get the degree and completing the education, in which sector we need to improve.
Hmm.
And it is better to stay in India and know the difficulties and the difficulties and challenges to understand uh, how to work means real life problem.
Hmm.
We will get to know there
Hmm.
in means where we can work out.
Okay, thank you very much for that point, Shweta. So if you listen to her, she was bringing in a completely different perspective, not something that we've discussed so far. She was saying that if a university education is worth pursuing, because when you are trying to get a degree, when you are studying to get a degree, you'll not just be developing your skills, but you'll also be realizing what part needs improvement, right? Sometimes it might be a skill, sometimes it might be something like communication, which is what we're doing here right now. Sometimes it might be mathematical skills. Sometimes it might be proficiency in a specific software. A university education can be a very good ground for us to realize where we need to improve. That was Shweta's point. Correct, Shweta?
Yes, like right now we know the problem, but we are not able to participate the conversation and the discussion. We have the thought, but we don't know how to speak and how to do the discussion. Uh, because means when we go through the we go to university, we get the multiple platform where
Yes.
we can means we can explore ourselves and be confident.
Very good, Shweta. That's a very good point. See how different each person's perspective is? This is the strength of a group discussion. Okay? Right. Sumit, would you like to speak?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, as we know that in schools we learn how to build a confidence, but in universities we know how to start. We know more about civic engagement, like how to speak amongst our peers, how to have a discussion, how to be more precise toward the point we want to express.
Hmm.
Also, we build. University education help us in building confidence, which led to personal growth and development, which ultimately lead to better future our economic state, for our economic growth.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sumit. So this was related to what Shweta was saying. I think so, at least. This is also a very good example of what we had looked at earlier. When you agree with somebody but would like to add to their point. This is a very good example of that scenario. Their perspectives are very related. However, their specific observations are different. They go hand in hand with one another. Understood? Varshini, would you like to say something?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I would like to add a point that studying in abroad is not worth, is what I feel. Because in India, it's like we have our own family and our own place. It's like we know how to behave with others and all the emotional development of a person. It builds for us to know each other and to, in fact, predict each other's opinion is what I feel. And when it comes to the
Okay.
fields of institutions, there are many institutions in India like IITs, IIMs, AIMS, and NITs, which are globally respected and produce world leading alumni, especially in engineering, medical, and even technology. So I don't feel that university education is that worth, because when we have it in our own land itself, it's not required for us to go there and study. This is what I feel.
Okay, so Varshini was focusing on one specific aspect of the topic. She was focusing on pursuing a university education within India, raising the point that it is better to study in our own country than it is to study abroad. Because we have several institutions of great repute in our own country. So we are growing by using the resources of our own country and possibly educating ourselves to get to a position where we can give back to our country. Right? This was Varshine's perspective. Very good. Anything else that somebody would like to add?
Yes, ma'am. Can I speak?
Yes, of course, Vishal. Go on.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to say that everyone talked about here about that it will university education will help in gaining skills and all. It's all right. One can argue that these skills can be learned outside or without university education too. But the key point is an university provides you a proper structure, a proper program for a particular set of skills to learn, and it is better to go with a proper structure rather than doing everything on your own, and you'll have to research more on your own, which will take more time and efforts of yours.
Okay,
Uh,
very
if
good.
I may, thank you, ma'am.
Is that
Sorry
all?
if I was not. Yes, ma'am. It's all. Sorry if I was not clear.
No, you are very clear. You guys understood Vishal's point, right? This was a very noble addition to our discussion. Vishal was saying, yes, I'm sure we can all develop our skills through avenues other than university education. However, a university provides us with a structured learning environment. So, studying in this environment would be completely different from studying on your own by taking in so much of effort in a very unregulated sort of learning environment. So Vishal was trying to say this is specifically why we have universities. It's not just that you can develop skills, it's that you also have this kind of a learning environment. And adding to that, I would say that for several students, a university is perhaps the first doorway of entry into their preferred careers. For example, I'm sure you are all looking forward to your placements. It's not just that you've learned a lot of skills through this degree, it's also that you are being provided an inlet to enter your preferred industry through this university degree. Right? Otherwise, if you were to study the same skills on your own, you would not have that opportunity. In that sense, also, university education is valuable. Ridhima, you wanted to say something?
Yes, ma'am. I just want to add one line that
Hmm.
being the means pursuing our study in India nowadays is so.
Nowadays is? I did not understand. Could you please say that again? You are not audible to me, Ridhima. Can the rest of you hear her?
No.
No,
ma'am.
No.
no, ma'am.
Ridhima, can you check if something's wrong? Right. If and when you're ready to speak, Ridhima, please feel free to speak. But now I think you understand what we mean by a group discussion. Ridhima, ready? Nope. We cannot hear you, Ridhima. Can you type in whatever it is that you wanted to say in the chat box? I'll read it out to the rest of them. Can you type in? Broadly, even as just points. If you could type it into the chat box, I can read it out to the rest of them. Okay. I think you get the idea of what a group discussion is, how it should proceed, and I'm really glad you were able to pitch in, even though you were a little reluctant to speak in the beginning. Now let's just consider yeah? Somebody wanted to say something? Go ahead.
Actually, I would like to Yes, ma'am. Actually, I would like to say something like on the topic.
Hmm. Go on.
So I Yes, ma'am. Good morning to all of you. Actually, I have listened to all the views, but I think all the participants were mainly focusing on whether it's university information, university education is important or not. But the main important point of the topic is whether it's worth pursuing in India or not. No, many are not focusing on that particular thing. So whether it's worth it or not. So I would like to say that the topic given is very general topic, like you can't s- there can't be a particular answer whether it's yes or no. Like we we know that India is not the number one country in the world for education, but that doesn't mean that India doesn't stand anywhere in the ranking. So if someone has the chance to study in any other greater university, then so they can go. But there are various universities in India that perform well, and India is changing very fast, just like. In the medium we are studying, nobody have thought that we can directly learn from to such a number one university. So it's changing, so you can't say that it's worth it or it's not worth it. There can be a different views. It is dependent on the particular case of the student, whether it's a yes or
Okay.
no.
Understood, Abhi. That was a very
Yeah,
good point. But yes, but some of the students did mention about studying in India versus studying abroad. So I think
yeah,
they did
yeah,
take that
yes.
aspect into
I
consideration.
Yeah, I was saying
Yes.
like many. I said many, not all. I said many.
Ah, okay, okay. Understood, Abhay. Thank you very much for adding that point. So now we're going to look at another caselet. You are the familial inheritors to the rare artistry of Rogan textile painting. Your father, who runs the art business, does so at a very small scale level, relying only on income received from mostly foreign tourists who visit only in peak season time, the October November festival season. You, however, believe that a strong social media presence coupled with international order shipping can greatly boost sales. Your father is skeptical about this. Firstly, because he believes a lot could go wrong and money could be lost when shipping internationally. And secondly, because he does not understand the concept of social media. How would you discuss this with your three brothers so that you can convince your father to give your ideas a shot? What are some of the things that we can do here? Quickly speaking, for instance, we can show our father several examples of small businesses which have a really strong social media presence and which are thriving because of that. Show actual examples. You can also enlist the help of your brothers because your brothers would be more receptive to this idea, right? You can open them up to the possibility of year long sales rather than sales which happen only during that peak season time. You can also start on a very small scale, taking in a couple of orders for international shipping in the beginning, and then gradually building up your online presence, your social media presence, and expanding your operations so that your father also gets time to acclimate himself to the change. I was just quickly offering a couple of points which you can use when you are trying to answer a question like this. Okay? Now we are going to look at a second caselet where I would also like for you to chip in. The first one was just an example. You are a team of five who have been working at a prominent edtech company for over 5 years. Edtech is educational technology. Some of you climbed the professional ladder at this company from scratch. First arriving as a student volunteer teacher, moving on to intern with the R&D vertical of the company, where you generated educational content after extensive research, then taking up formal research position upon graduation, and finally entering the position of a junior manager for the R&D team. In recent months, you've noticed that the company has been spending 5 times the amount of money on marketing and sales than it is on R&D. In a context where circumstances of education during the pandemic and after the pandemic are changing swiftly, and there is a general need for fast track innovation in educational strategies, discuss the next course of action with your teammates regarding striking a balance between R&D and marketing sales. So, because this is a long topic, we need to instantly take notice of the key concerns. What are the key concerns? Company is spending too much money on marketing. Company is not spending enough money on R&D, research and development. You are somebody who has been working in this company for a really long time, so you know the importance of research and development. Okay? So you want to make an argument in order to correct this lopsided priority. You want to tell them to take equal notice of R&D as they take of marketing. What would you tell them? How can you correct this problem? Do you understand the question, or do I need to simplify it further? It's all right to tell me if you didn't understand it, but tell me something. Did you understand the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you did understand the question. Then can you come up with a couple of suggestions which you can give to the company?
Uh, we have to first we have to organize the data that what means getting the team R&D and how much we are providing to marketing. Then we should compare, and we have to show the we have to present in front of team that we need we need to give we need to upgrade the R&D as well, as we are doing working with the marketing. Just I need little bit more time to uh,
Articulate your thoughts properly. I can understand that.
yes,
But
but the core concern is that we have to manage the data so that
uh,
we can present it means meaningful, that and it will easy to convince the problem.
yes, spoken like a true data scientist, Shweta. So Shweta is saying we should collect the data first. How much is the company spending on marketing? How much is the company spending on R&D? What is the difference like? And so how can this difference be bridged or corrected?
Thank you
That is
so
a
much
very good
to
point.
understand.
Yes. Right. So anybody else has anything to add to that? We started off very strong with a strong data science kind of foundation. Can anybody add to that? Why is R&D so important in the first place? Yes, Anzar. Please go on.
Ma'am, R&D is important because what gonna be in future, what product should be launched. So this type of research, R&D team will be validate and analyze, ma'am, what's useful and what is not useful.
Yes, exactly. So when you're marketing,
Actually,
it
they
might
will filter out the problem, what the things we are facing in.
they will filter out the problems. Is that what you said? Ridhima?
Yes, ma'am.
Filter out the problems, Sasan. Can you add a little bit to that? Tell us a little more about what they're filtering out.
Suppose if somebody has opened his or her company,
Hmm.
uh, and the company is about, for example, the company is about, mm, mm, can I take an example to give this
Let's say it's an edtech company only.
tech company?
EdTech, educational technology, EdTech.
Okay, so No, I'm not getting my point of view in that area.
Did you mean that R&D is very helpful in correcting any errors that are there already? Is that what you meant?
No, ma'am. So sorry.
No. It's okay, Ridhima. Don't get flustered. See, this is part of how you learn to express yourself. No worries at all. Right? This is a very good platform for you to train, so it does not matter. But I'm very glad that you're all chipping in. That is the most important thing. Okay?
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
So, as Anzar has pointed out already, R&D is very important in identifying what the future prospects will be for this company because the scene is constantly changing. The needs of the audience or the subscribers are also constantly changing. How do we adapt to those future changes? How do we deliver to those needs? Is something that research and development is concerned about. So if we forget to think about that, then in the long term, this company is going to suffer. That is what Anzar was trying to say. Very good point. Anything else? Last point, let's say. We're concluding with this.
Ma'am, it is mentioned that the pandemic and the recent situation
Hmm.
is pushing for the fast track innovation and educational strategies, right? So basically, we need to maybe considering such a situation, we need to see how the tech company can reach out to more people or have more subscribers in diversifying their platform of education or platform of training or teaching, right?
Yes. So R&D is very important in terms of diversification as well.
Correct.
Yes, very good, Muralidharan. Right. So KP has already put in a point in the chat box. R&D is important because it fuels innovation, competitiveness, efficiency, and long-term success. Very good. This goes hand in hand with what Muralidharan had just told us. Right. So thank you everybody for pitching in. Right. This was a very fruitful discussion because all of you were able to express your own views on the topic. You also did a very good job of how you aligned your own perspective with the person who went before you. Nobody got into any fights, right? So you were trying to add to the points that the other person had already put forth. Very good. This is exactly how a discussion should progress. So I hope you've got what a GD is all about and how you can effectively take part in a GD. And I genuinely hope that this will be of use to you in the future. Thank you once again, everybody. The recordings are being made. It will be made available to you in the YouTube playlist after the conclusion of the workshop sessions. And yes, the PPT will be available under the supplementary materials tab in your dashboard. That's
Thank
it.
you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. You may
Thank
now
you.
leave the
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, mom.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am,